Welcome to episode 97 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carsillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. My best friend over the entire world, over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing this wonderful Sunday morning?
Ray, it is quite beautiful here. We got a 100% chance of snow tomorrow, and then the forecast goes back into the 50s for a few days, which is like an Indian summer this time of year. So I'm really looking forward to that. You know, you said it's episode 97, so I have to remind the viewers and the listeners, whether it's your first time or your 97th time or anywhere in between, that we promised that on the 100th episode we will unveil apparel and other knickknacks of Geeks Who Like Sports, which we're going to do. What we need to know from you, what we want you to comment on, anywhere you see this, is what do you want? T-shirts, hats, mugs? Do you want the famous Geeks Who Like Sports mug so you can drink your favorite tea or coffee or whatever you want to drink while you're listening? Preferably not while you're driving. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, it's coming. So let us know what you want. This is at the top of the episode, so you really have no excuse. Comment wherever you're watching this. Let us know. What do you want? Hats, shirts, T-shirts, mugs, wallet things, keychains, glasses. We can make that happen too, believe it or not. Whatever you want to know. You see, Ray's on board now. Ray's on board now. That's the hat for you. Let us know. Episode 100, only 3 weeks away. 3 weeks away from when you're listening to this.
Yes.
Unless it's like years from now and you're just re-listening, in which case it's out already.
Right. But yeah, that was the hat I just showed off there. If you're watching the video, I put it on with the red bill and, of course, our logo on the blue background.
Right. I went into the future to see all possible outcomes.
Yeah.
I saw 1,609,000. And how many of them did we have apparel in? All of them.
All of them.
All of them.
All of them.
Anyway, we got a great show today. I will fully admit this. Today's show is going to be a little bit shorter than normal, probably about an hour and a half.
Yes.
Long story short, I got to take my kid to hockey practice. So that's just the way it is. And so Ray has been gracious enough to get up here early so we can do this. I appreciate you, Ray. And he's gotten through it, and I do appreciate that. But with that said, we should jump in because we do have a lot. Like, there's actually a lot. It's like a meaty kind of episode today. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, it was funny. Lee was calling me 10 o'clock my time. I did hear the phone. I looked over.
Knew it.
And I looked at the clock, and I'm like, what the heck is this SOB calling me for now so early? And I rolled back over. And also because I haven't been feeling great lately the last couple days. Not gonna lie, folks. That's also
call me a sob one more time, Ray.
You are a sob. You are a sob. But yeah, no.
I sent you some funny gifs though. I mean, that GIF trail was funny. Come on. I sent you Ray, what did you do,
no,
Ray?
It was good. It was good.
I had to wake up with a sarcastic, angry smile at some point.
Yeah. So, so that's part of the reason why. So it's a little bit my fault, but it's mostly Lee's for not telling me.
No, just life happens. That's what I'll put. I'm going to put
life
that.
happens,
No
sure.
one's fault, really. It's just,
Yes. You know whose fault it is, though, actually, in WandaVision?
It was Agatha all along.
Yeah.
What a banger. Ray Santiago, a good friend of ours, starts texting me, this is a banger. I'm like, yeah, it's because it's like 3 great songs mashed together to make another great song.
It's by the folks who wrote the Frozen soundtracks. It's inspired by the Munsters. Right. You could tell that very clearly if you're an old school television fan like we are. But yeah, so episode 7 of WandaVision. We got a big show for you folks, but we're kicking it off obviously with the biggest news of the week, which is episode 7 of WandaVision. We were wrong. It was only a half hour. That was
the reports were wrong.
The reports were wrong because basically everything else in the episode, me and Lee were basically right on.
Yeah,
right?
It was, yes, a lot of people. Yes,
a lot of us.
Yes.
Agnes is Agatha Harkness. Photon, or excuse me, Monica. It looks like she's become Photon. It looks like she has her powers. She hasn't used them, but she's seeing the world in a different case here as she goes back through the bubble one more time, which again, Darcy, the previous episode, warned her against doing. But it was also a office / Modern Family themed episode, which makes me believe we are pretty probably done with the television themes, probably going into the last 2 episodes as we kind of just look forward to a action-packed, ramp up of everything as the episode ended with Agatha revealing herself and revealing that she's been messing with everything all along.
So a couple things on that reveal of Agatha Harkness. Something that Ray, we spend a lot on time on TikTok now. It's kind of gotten there where we're on it a lot. And one of the things I love about TikTok is there are no shortage of conspiracy theorists when it comes to Marvel, and it's actually really great because I see a lot of great stuff that I didn't think of. One of the videos I saw just today that is mind blowing but awesome. And it's one of those things like can't believe I missed that. When they are outside of the hex, everything is letterbox, meaning there's a black bar on the top and the bottom. When they're inside the hex, the letterbox goes away. And what this person noticed was that when Wanda walks into the basement, the lair of Agatha, it goes to letterbox, which means that room is outside the hex's power, I'll say. Right. All right, and that's reality. That's why Agatha looks so different downstairs. She looks like a witch. Yeah. Right? Now, a lot of talks about now, is it Mephisto? Is it Nightmare? I was thinking about this today. I think we will get a reveal by the end of the series, but I think it's actually, I could be totally wrong on this. I think it's going to be quite minor, meaning there'll be a reveal and then we're going to move on because I don't think they're going to want to take the spotlight away from Agatha versus Wanda. Yeah. Right. And I think that's what's going to happen. Again, at the end of the episode, it looks like Agatha kind of takes over the hex. Gotta say it, Agatha all along, brilliant composition, unbelievable song. I mean, it's catchy as hell. Everyone's loving it and rocking out to it. You can tell that it's a simple song that they took an incredible amount of time to make perfect from the vocals. Another conspiracy theorist said that in the song it's a male singer, saying who's been messing up everything, and then Agatha goes, it was Agatha all along. Right. Someone said, well, that male voice is Mephisto, and he's upset with Agnes. I'm like, all right, maybe it's just a song, right? Obviously, we saw the cicada in her house, which is that's pretty telling. But
that's a symbol of Mephisto. Yeah. I know some people have gone so far as to be like, we should get Al Pacino's going to be Mephisto because he played a devil one time.
That would be awesome, but
it would be amazing how to get him in. Like,
what does he do at night? What does Al Pacino do at night? You don't know. He could be Mephisto. You don't know.
I heard that there was a witch here in town. Hoo-ha!
That was brilliant.
But so we'll see what happens.
Say hello to my little rich friend. Yeah. I would be all for it, Al Pacino. I don't think he would do it, but I mean, look. I have a feeling that might be the big reveal now. Is it's going to be some superstar actor that no one's expecting, and
Well, and the thing is,
what if it's Mark Hamill? How funny would that be?
That would be if it was actual Mark Hamill.
Twice in 1 year. And he's just doing his Joker voice, but as another character. Hello, Wanda.
Oh, hello, Wanda.
That would be so.
And he's using the Force, like he's waving his hands, like.
Right, and we find out Mandalorian and WandaVision are actually the same show. Fooled ya!
Boba Fett turns a corner. I'm just a simple man trying to make my way through the Marvel universe.
Through the hex.
Through the hex.
Through the Nexus. Yeah.
Oh,
no,
gosh.
it was well done. Again, we said this when we were watching our replay on streamlaunch.io. Again, beat us there this Friday for episode 8. Mm-hmm. But this confirmed a lot, opened up a lot. Once again, we have no idea where they're going. I mean, we have an idea, but we have no idea where they're going. I thought the best part of Agatha all along was, I killed Sparky too. And then the most amazing witch laugh that I've ever heard. It was so good. Really, Agatha was born in the 1600s in terms of comic book lore.
Right. And she also kills animals on a regular basis to help power her powers. Yeah. So the fact that she killed Sparky, in the comics, she actually kills and eats her own black cat. Right. Obviously, they weren't going to go that far with it, but...
and for those of you who don't know, she's a neutral character, right? She's not
in the
good
comics.
Or bad.
She's typically a very neutral character. She's actually more of a friend to Wanda most of the time.
And I think that's going to happen. And again, I insinuated that they're keeping something in, not so much trying to keep people from getting in. They're trying to keep something from getting out. I'm interested to see where that goes. Darcy was great. The whole episode was great. There's nothing better than watching Vision do a confessional in 2000s TV show style, and then going, wait a minute, I don't have to sit here. And he takes his mic off, and you can hear the mic. That was my favorite part. But the other thing too is just we got a glimpse. This has kind of gone under the radar. At the beginning of Agatha All Along, the first time we see her, we actually see her in her witch's gear, which is that's obviously her. Like that's obviously whatever she wears on a normal basis before she turns to the 1950s Agnes. But look, a brilliant episode. I thought that was the best ending yet. I mean, I left the show laughing.
Yeah.
That's how funny the end of that show was. And then mid-scene credits, we talked about this. And Ray, to echo what you said at the beginning, I think that is the departure now of the episodic nature of the show. I think putting a mid-credit scene in says, okay, we are now returning to MCU-type broadcasting.
Yeah, and I think for me, this was the most satisfied, even though it's a cliffhanger. This felt, again, kind of, and we talked about this, the tone of the show versus The Mandalorian. Mandalorian felt like you had full episodes, but then it was pushing the arc forward. This felt like a full episode that's pushing the arc forward. Like, it feels like we finally got all the backstory, we're all caught up, everything's ready to come together, and I felt this was the most satisfying. Couple of big things, though. No Reed Richards. We had predicted Mr. Fantastic in this. We did not see this. He might still show up, but he was not there with the space rover to try and get in the bubble.
We did not see the aero engineer that she is alluding to. That's all I'm saying. We saw a major in the Air Force. We didn't see any engineers.
Yeah, so that was a little disappointing for a lot of us.
They did that on purpose, too, to set us up.
Of course.
They're setting us up for it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they show with Agnes, or Agatha, I gotta start calling her Agatha again now, everything she messed up along the way to kind of start kind of tearing at the edges of the fray and kind of like mess with Wanda. But why mess with Wanda? And again, it's like, did Wanda create this illusion and Agatha's trying to help break her out for various reasons? Did she create this illusion? Lee alluded to this at one point, the colors. The hex was originally kind of a bluish bubble or kind of a transparent bubble. And then Wanda makes it a big red bubble when she goes back in. Was that her asserting herself? There's a lot that we still don't know.
Who is Senor Scratchy? I offered to Ray the other day, maybe that's Stephen Strange. Is that Doctor Strange in a cage? I mean, did Wanda go in to save him? If that's the case, we don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's also this thought that it's Nicholas Scratch, which of course is from the comics, Agatha's son, who actually kills her in the end. Is you know, are those two at odds? And at the end, somehow he transforms magically back, because Agatha's stories deal a lot with a lot of magic users in the Marvel universe. But again, you know, the fact that Agnes or Agatha specifically says to Wanda, "You didn't think you were the only magical being here, did you? The magic girl here, did you?" Wanda's powers up to this point weren't magic.
Right.
We you know, this again insinuating that they are magic. They are more than we thought. And of course, the big reveal at the end. Lee mentioned the mid-credit scene. Pietro, and they mentioned two big things in this episode. The Nexus of all realities, which was hinted at in Thor the Dark World, and has been a key thing in Marvel Cinematic, Marvel Universe, Marvel Comics for a long time. It's typically guarded by Man-Thing. The most powerful beings, including Wanda, were born there. It's also home for, like, Kang the Conqueror, and obviously Mephisto can get access to it. And, like, just alpha, omega level beings in the Marvel Universe. Is the Nexus what the bubble is over and trying to keep contained? Do we get a Man-Thing cameo, which would be insane? But also, this probably leads into Loki, because Loki is working with the Time Variance Authority, whose one of their primary jobs is also to monitor the Nexus. So there's a good chance...
God, we're geeks.
Yes. This is setting something up for Loki, probably. And then, of course, again, also, I'm going to say it right now, I believe that Quicksilver is the Quicksilver from the Fox universe.
Yeah,
as we saw in the theme song, Agatha was messing with his head, probably implanted some of this universe's Pietro's memories onto him. When he's not under her control, he is probably a good guy.
And
she probably pulled him from the Nexus for her purposes, for whatever it may be. So again, whether it's for good or for bad, she's the one who probably pulled him from the Nexus in order to serve as, hey, yo, it's our long-lost Uncle Pete over here. So yeah.
Well, my final note on this episode is it was about 37 minutes long with the credits. I'm really hoping this would be a nice little treat if the next episode was about the same and then the final episode was a full movie. That would be pretty cool. Yeah. But I said this too on our live cast. As long as they stick the landing, it could be 5 minutes. I just stick the landing. Yes. And that's what Marvel's really good at doing. Yeah,
exactly. So we're excited. We're excited for episode 8. There's a lot to go on, a lot to Fortunately, we've got a lot more answers. The pieces are starting to fall into place. Obviously, there's still a few questions out there. With only 2 episodes left, we are hurtling towards the end very, very quickly. But we talked about casting. We talked about Reed Richards. We talked about a lot of stuff. Some news that broke the last couple of days that I'm not putting a lot of weight in, but it is interesting to discuss. People are saying that Jennifer Lawrence will play Sue Storm, a.k.a. the Invisible Woman, in the Fantastic Four film. Obviously, she was Mystique in the Fox universe. Not impossible. Obviously, we've had, obviously Captain America was Human Torch a long time ago. Like, we've had this, like, not a surprise for, obviously, these big actors to sometimes take on different roles in the different universes. The reason why I'm hesitant about this news is that right now, Jennifer Lawrence is working on another big movie at the moment. And they're also talking about the fact that when they start shooting Fantastic Four, they're going to have to hunker down in Australia for a while because of COVID. And also, the director of Fantastic Four is also the man directing Spider-Man 3, and he's in the middle of Spider-Man 3 right now. So I don't know if he'd be in the middle of casting or anything like that. It just doesn't seem like everything matches up, but it's possible that she's inked. It's possible.
It's out there. It's out there. One of the things that I noticed about the report is it just keeps saying she's in the Fantastic Four. It doesn't really say who she is, although we're all assuming it's Sue Storm.
Right.
It makes me wonder, would they go as far to change one of the other characters to a woman? Probably doubtful. Or other characters in Fantastic Four. Could she be Doctor Doom? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know if they would do that, but I wouldn't be bugged if they did that. If they turned Doctor Doom into a woman, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. Obviously, I don't think she's going to be, Reed Richards or anything like that. But who knows? Like, we'll see. Look, she's more than a capable actress. Obviously, she's well versed in the comic verse. Now, the real question is, what if she's Sue Storm, but also Mystique at the same time, due to the Nexus paradox? I'll leave you all with that note of impossibility, because that would never happen.
No, they wouldn't do that.
We have more of a chance of John Wick and The Matrix 4 being the same movie, which is a legit fan theory that actually kind of makes weird sense.
Yes.
If they did that, I would just be like, whoa.
Yeah. Also, by the way, a fun theory that's not going to happen, but that somebody said, speaking of John Wick, somebody said that when Agatha killed Sparky, that's how they're going to get John Wick into the Marvel.
People keep asking if I'm back. Well, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm back. Agatha. It's great. What a great movie. Well, watch John Wick if you haven't.
Yeah. Actually, I got to catch up. I've only saw the first one. I haven't seen the second two.
They're very good. The third one is actually really, really good too.
I've
the
heard
second's
that.
good too.
It's not that I don't like them. I just haven't had the.
Oh no, I know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, man. When you want to get to one of those popcorn eating, just adrenaline runs with no thought.
Yeah.
Take the 4 hours and watch 2 and 3 because they all connect very tightly. It's really cool.
Yeah. So and speaking of connection, another thing that Disney is doing is they've announced a thing called Assembled, the series, which is kind of a mini doc series that basically after every major thing hits on Disney Plus and also Black Widow when it hits theaters in May, they're going to put an episode up on Disney Plus that's basically kind of like a behind the scenes making of. So the week between WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Captain Falcon.
That's a different
Falcon Punch.
That's a whole different universe of different characters.
The nexus of all realities.
Whole different nexus there. Obviously combining Captain America, Captain Falcon. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And the week in between was going to be the assembled of WandaVision, telling you how they did all the special effects, how they got all the different set pieces, all this other stuff. I think that's going to be a fun series for folks who really enjoy the behind the scenes or the DVD commentary style stuff.
I got to be honest with you. Disney's ability to take something that used to be something and make it seem new is incredible. These used to be known as DVD extras.
Yes.
And Disney Plus is like, we've made a new show. You get a new show. They did this with The Mandalorian. And by the way, they are really good. They are really great behind the scenes films. Mandalorian had a whole season after season 1. And then after season 2 of The Mandalorian, they did just like a 2-hour movie. But if you're like a film buff or, you work in production, these things are unbelievable to watch just to see how they did what they do. But yeah, I love Disney was like, we made movies, TV shows on Disney Plus. That's how we're getting out of the theater business, not hating us. Oh, what do we do with the DVD extras, sir? Assemble! We're going to assemble them. So, again, if you get a chance to see it, it really is. I mean, these are like DVD extras, but they're making them bigger. They're obviously spending a little bit more time on them. And if you need audio commentary from the directors, don't do that. Come and watch us on streamlaunch.io.
Yes, our audio commentary, I'm sure, is just as good as with the directors.
If you love this show, you'll love us doing that, and we want you there, too.
Yes. Yeah, streamlounge.io. Go to Google Chrome. Get the extension, and the account it's easy. It's free to sign up. And if you already have a Disney Plus subscription, then you can watch along with us. So
yes, some nice new technology coming from that soon too. I won't out it yet, but stay tuned.
Yes,
for
we've
that.
got some big announcements on the horizon. A lot of big announcements on the horizon, all around. Lots of stuff. Anyway, and speaking of more big announcements, this has been rumored for a while, but I was surprised to find out who else is involved with it. HBO and Warner Brothers has confirmed they are planning to bring a new Constantine series to HBO Max at some point. Of course, the short-lived one-season series was actually much beloved by fans. It just never seemed, at least the folks who watched it, just never seemed to garner a really big audience rating. And then they loved it when the character, Matt Ryan, the actor, joined Constantine with Legends of Tomorrow on CW. And so there's a lot of love for Constantine. It's just that he's always kind of been a lesser-known character in the DC universe. But he is going to get his own series on HBO Max. But the person who's behind it was surprising, and it's J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams' name has been attached to it, and fans, well, there's been a very mixed reaction to that.
I don't get the hate on J.J. Abrams. I never have.
I don't get it either. I think a lot of folks, though, are worried because it's an established property, and I think he does better with a lot of folks feel he does better with original stuff. Again, going back to like Lost and things like that. So,
yeah, I mean, look, here's the deal. Nobody complained, and I mean this. Not many people complained when he redid Star Trek. Not many complained when he redid Star Wars. What they complain about is when he does a second and third movie. The first revival always seems to do really well. Now, the thing with Constantine, the question that I have, Ray, is this going to connect into the larger DCU? Now, one of the things that Marvel does so well is they can take a character like a Constantine or a side character and suddenly make them very, very important, very, very relative, and make them matter. For example, if Constantine existed in the MCU, Mephisto would be perfect for it. Right? But he doesn't. So the question is, how are they going to weave him in? The DCU, and this is what I worry about, right? It looks like they're running into a period here where they're going to unfracture the DCU and say that it's all under one multiverse.
Right.
Don't fracture it more. We already are awaiting a Batman movie from an alternate reality.
Yes.
That I actually am looking forward to seeing. I watched the trailer again for the Batman.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. Like you said, that trailer did its job of just getting me interested.
Yes.
But yeah, look, Constantine is a fun character. Again, many of you probably saw the Keanu Reeves movie, which was actually quite good. It's another movie that didn't get what it deserved. Obviously he deals with demons in hell, and he's a cat. He's got about 9 lives, and
it's another guy who's used to the multiverse and used to traversing different things, and so again, it's another magic user. So this could fit. This could also fit into a lot of stuff for DC if they so chose. But
clean it up.
Maybe clean it up. If somebody can clean it up, Constantine can clean it up.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of cleaning things up, actually, I want to put on. I have a prop. Let's see if
he's got a prop today. I'm going to describe the prop while he puts it on. He's looking at something. For those of you listening, he has put on a Batman mask, and not just the cowl. I'm talking about if COVID's trying to get to Batman, not today, sister, because Ray is a creepy Ray forehead with a Batman mouth.
Can you hear me through the mask? My mother sent me this.
This is actually yes. We could, but you're not. Shouldn't you be speaking differently with that mask on?
Oh yes, so this is my Batman voice.
But I've never seen Batman without his cowl. It's just
so the heroes.
Wait, pull it down under your nose. I know that's not what you're supposed to do. There you go. Now it looks right. Sorry for those of you listening. Ray now has a different mouth.
Yes, so I'm not the hero that Gotham needs. I'm the hero Gotham deserves. And speaking of heroes that Gotham deserves, or at least DC Comics. I'm going to take this off.
You don't look as ridiculous as you probably think you do.
Yes.
But you do have to wear a Batman cowl now.
Yeah, I got to find the cowl. I got to find the cowl.
You really got to do that. Come on next week, and I'm just going to be like, it's Lee and Batman.
Actually, I can't stop the show to go get it, but I have something. Next week. Remind me next week.
Normally you could, but maybe not this week.
Right, anyway, yeah. So
jump into it.
So an interesting story came up that basically, no surprise here. We've been talking about this for a while, but the physical print industry for comics has been struggling. Although with recent events, Yeah, it has. With recent events and whatnot, and DC finally realizing that maybe 52 books a month is too much.
What?
And really scaling things back and just focusing on the big heroes. Their comics, and they've actually started to turn a profit again on their comics. Again, they're printing a lot less, but...
less is more, man. Less is more.
And that's the
honest.
thing. And I think that also makes it a lot easier for folks to follow and makes folks a lot more willing to buy. But it's come to the attention. There have been rumors for a while that AT&T, again, who's now the parent company of Warner Brothers and HBO and all that, and continuing, and they've been doing this for a year and a half, folks. They've been looking for reasons to lay people off and get rid of things and really kind of consolidate a lot of things. The rumor is that they're looking to probably put the kibosh and pull the plug on the printing side of DC. They would still do things digitally through Comixology, so they would still be making comics, but when they look at ink, paper, distribution, all this other stuff, especially during the pandemic, this has been something that has been rumored for a while. So, a group of wealthy investors, who I'm already going to guess includes folks like Kevin Smith and Nicolas Cage and other big super DC fans, maybe Batfleck, who knows, are looking to potentially buy from DC Comics the publishing arm of DC Comics to get comics in print. And I think this is a really fascinating thing that if folks want to do it, and again, the comics have turned profitable again. Not like a huge profit, but profitable in the sense that, like, again...
Profitable is profitable, man.
Right. Again, not printing 52 books a month and kind of making a lot of stuff worth. And also some big events have obviously also helped in the last couple of years and whatnot. But it's an interesting concept, the fact that some fans, some wealthy super fans, are banding together and have made an offer to try and keep print alive, at least in this part of the comics industry. And I am not one of those super wealthy investors. But Lee, what are your thoughts on this concept?
Whatever the DC universe needs us to be. No, I love it. I really do. And this is kind of, I think, where this needed to go, and I'm glad it did. If you want them, you got to save them. Yeah. And the thing is that, let's just be honest, the comic book industry, in terms of distribution and marketing and getting stuff out, has been behind the times for a long, long, long time. They probably about 10 years minimum, probably longer than that. We're far past the time of just going to the comic store all the time. It just doesn't matter. You have to start turning towards Comixology and other digital sources and look at that as your primary source of revenue, and now start looking at the actual printing comics as the secondary source of revenue, which means printing less but making more quality. Right. Now, I'm going to throw this question back at you, Ray. Now, I'm happy to hear this group of investors is coming in. I really am. It's people who love comics saving comics. If, let's just say, DC makes 10 comics a month, right? But they're very rich and they're very good. And instead of, what do they cost now? $4?
Yeah, I would say on average about $4 or $5.
So maybe instead of $4, it becomes, a subscription that maybe is $5-6 a book, but it's really worth it. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what they need to start thinking about doing here if they really want to start turning this around. Of like, you can't just buy one. You got to buy Superman for the entire year. Right. All right? It's a subscription. You're going to get one Superman a month. Yeah. It's $8 a month. I mean, we do that now. Yeah, like you
subscribe to Sports Illustrated or to EGM or whatever.
Or, you get Superman, Batman, and all 10 for $20 a month, right? Right. Like, I mean, it's not like the subscription model's unproven here. Right. And like here's the thing, that might actually pique my interest. Yeah. Right. Because I can't get to the stores obviously right now. And like Comixology, I only kind of buy what I want. Speaking of that, quick side note, The Last Ronin, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we have come into possession of a copy of it. Number 2, we will have a review of that next week. Obviously, as that just came out, we try not to spoil that too quick. We don't want to let our pal Kevin Eastman down. Yes. But that will be.
I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We both haven't read it. We want to give it some time, and we're going to read it and have a review next week. Yes. But yeah, look, fans coming in, especially the people you mentioned, Ray, that's great. Speaking of fans, I got to call out our fan, Casey Ewasko, who last week got called out, ran outside and screamed, "That's me," in front of his imaginary neighbor, Diane.
That was hysterical.
But now I just did it again. So does that mean he's got to watch a video about him watching a video to run outside to make another video? Will this become a weekly thing?
I feel like you're creating both a paradox and a lot of work for Casey.
Well, I do have a time travel
Casey.
fetish, and Kasei is his name.
That's the thing.
But
Yeah, that's
Kasei.
for
Here's the thing.
some inside joke. You guys changed his name.
Does this become a weekly segment on Geeks Like Sports? Is how crazy can Casey get? Will he run into the middle of the street naked?
I don't want
That's me?
Casey to get too crazy. I like Casey. We
I
play
like
Gears
Casey
of
too.
War together.
I like Casey a lot. I see Casey usually 5 days a week. Okay? But if Kasei wants to keep this going, it's going to keep going. Good luck this week, Casey. All right. Anyway, yes. Going on. DC Comics are being saved by fans. That's like the little mid-episode.
One last quick thing I want to say, because you mentioned the subscription model. Does that, though, do you then risk closing up a lot of comic book shops? Is that the future of the comic book shop anyway?
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Okay, so there's two sides to this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The comic book shops that are heavy places for D&D players, that are heavy places for Magic the Gathering, that are heavy places for other things aside comics, you know, those kind of numismatics of distinction type
our
places.
good friends Time Warp Comics and Games back in Cedar Grove, New Jersey, for example.
Absolutely is a great establishment. Obviously, Midtown Comics, they're not going to be going anywhere.
Yeah.
The major places and the gathering places will not. But yes, a lot of comic book stores will be shutting down. Here's the deal. It's time for comics to go back to being in the CVSs. It's time for comics to go back to being in those gathering points where people go a lot, because it's just simply not worth going out of the way anymore for a lot of people to go there right now. That might change. But yes, it does mean a lot of comic book shops are going to close.
Well, and again, not to get too far down this rabbit hole, again, folks, for those who aren't familiar with the history of the comic book industry, but for a lot of folks, like the hobby shop really didn't start to really come about until the 70s and 80s, really start to blow up. Right. Like Lee said, a lot of times you'd get your comics in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. You would get them from the grocery store.
Yeah,
You'd get them from the pharmacy, right? You get them a
Right.
dime a copy or whatever it was.
It's time to kind of bring that back. I mean, put them in places people are going.
Yeah.
Just put them in places people are going. Put them in the ShopRite, Acme, Pathmark, whatever exists where you are. The Publix. I don't know, wherever you are, right? Like, why are they not there? I mean, and when you do see them there, they're 2 years old.
Yeah. Well,
like
even the newsstands. There's actually still newsstands, obviously, in big places like New York City and LA and whatnot.
Well, people, they'll steal them. Good. You want people reading comics. I mean, it's not good, but you know what I'm trying to say? I think that's the future, is putting comic book kind of stands back in more public places. Or like I said, man, it's you can figure out a mail out model. I mean, this is a subscription model on Comixology, but if you want to, I'm telling you, man, they can make this work. It just takes a little bit innovative.
DC Universe basically now is just has just become a comic subscription service.
There's innovative ways to make this work. What you need to do is make the physical comics something that's not easy to get, that there's not many made. I wouldn't make 10 million of them. I'd make 300 of them, and if you want one, you're going to pay a little bit for it.
Yeah,
I that's the truth. I don't know why. I can't afford that. I get it. Then use Comixology. That's why I use it.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. It's gonna be interesting. Again,
by the way, I'm being a realist. I'm not saying I want comic books to go away. I'm just being a realist about it. It's This is 2021. We don't have print like we used to. It's not the way of the future.
Yeah, no, it is true. It is true. Speaking of the future. Or the near future, we new trailer dropped this week for Mortal Kombat. It was about a 2-minute trailer. We got we saw a lot of characters: Melina, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Lord Raiden, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Sonya Blade, Jax. And I'm not gonna lie, folks, I was not very happy after this trailer. I was not impressed. I'll say this. The very beginning of the trailer started strong and got progressively worse over the course of its 2 minutes. The scene, it starts with basically they explain that Jax gets his cybernetic arms because Sub-Zero freezes his arms and breaks them. And I think that's a cool moment. But the trailer put a lot of fear into me because it looks like we're getting a bunch of origin stories in one film as they try to explain a lot of roster. We got Shang Tsung in there. We saw a statue of Shao Kahn. And they also have a new character in there, and I've been getting a lot of people agreeing with me, a lot of people not agreeing with me. His name's Cole Young, and it is so blatantly that this character is the audience perspective, where literally he's like, what's Mortal Kombat? And then Sonya Blade goes into a diatribe about what the tournament is. And it's like, which by the way, she's the last person. She should not be the person explaining who it is to Cole Young. It should be Lord Raiden, or at least Liu Kang or somebody.
Who's also in the film. But
yes, and it's like I get that he is the audience perspective for the chance to to easily and narratively explain massive elements for newcomers. But I feel like with 70 plus characters over the history of Mortal Kombat, you could have found somebody else without creating another new character. And I've also heard that supposedly he's a Scorpion relative, or he's a Scorpion reincarnation. I don't want that stuff.
Or he might be Johnny Cage, because that's someone who's inconspicuously missing.
Mortal Kombat is complicated enough without you morons at Warner Brothers adding more new characters.
I don't disagree with you. This is what I'll say about it. Ray, I'm with you on this. I was not super inspired by this trailer. A lot of people loved it. And don't get me wrong, I think there's a lot of excitement for a Mortal Kombat movie, but this is my takeaway. As Ray said, it didn't get me excited to see this. And I'm going to watch it basically because I have an HBO Go or HBO Max subscription. Yeah. All right. Right now, I'm not convinced to go see that in a theater, number one. Number two is I kind of came to this realization that I don't really need a live-action Mortal Kombat film. The games do a great job telling the story. And, when it comes to things like, well, the fatalities are unreal, I'm like, I don't really want to see live-action fatalities either. That's what makes the game fun to me.
Right.
And there's, listen, I'll put this out there now. I could be wrong. I do not think that the fatalities in this film in any way will trump the game.
No.
I think there's just no way it's going to trump the game, right? No. And that's what I'm trying to say. I play all the Mortal Kombat games that come out. I do. I enjoy them. Right, that's one of the few series I buy every time it comes out. Ray knows that.
Yep.
All right, and I do enjoy the stories, but I don't need an origin story. It's possible it's not an origin story, but I just don't know where they're going with this. The story that it looks like they're going to show the Sub-Zero Scorpion origin, and I already know it.
Yeah.
And they might try and turn Scorpion kind of into the good guy that he kind of becomes, in the games at some point. Spoiler alert, if you don't know, there's multiple Sub-Zeros too.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I just don't know. It was a 5 out of 5 for me, average, nothing special. Didn't ruin it for me, but didn't get me excited. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, and I've also
heard
other
5 out of 10. Sorry, not
that
5 out of 5.
Cole Young is Sub-Zero's long lost brother, and then when this Sub-Zero dies, he'll become Noob Saibot like in the games, and then Cole Young will take on the Sub-Zero.
That's great.
You've already in a 2-hour film, you've already made this way too complicated. You've already lost most of your.
They should have brought back Christopher Lambert and that original cast.
Well, I mean, and the thing is it's a tough line to toe between the hardcore fans and the casuals.
Yeah, well, I mean, and then you got to say that this movie's not for the hardcore fan, but they won't do that.
Yeah, and or you need to, or you also, it also seems like they don't toe the line well between the cheese and the self-referential stuff from the games and taking itself seriously.
Yeah, like I said, look, I will give them this benefit of the doubt that I'm not going to base too much on just one trailer.
Right.
But if I get into this thing and halfway through I just don't care.
Yeah.
Which is I'd say kind of possible right now. You know what I mean? We'll see what happens.
For sure. I mean, and
far more excited for the Snyder Cut.
and like Lee said, if it wasn't for the fact that it was also coming to HBO Max, I would not spend money to go see this in theaters. If things were normal and this was a theater only release, I would not go see this in theaters. This is not worth a $20 ticket. I have HBO Max already. I got it for Wonder Woman. Yeah. And obviously, I've stuck with it. There's a lot of great shows. There's a lot of good stuff on HBO Max. But I consider this just an addendum to it, like regular HBO. It just, not a lot of hope.
That's direct to your home.
Speaking of direct, Nintendo Direct Nintendo's first big Nintendo Direct of the year was this week. Lee and I had a lot of hope going into this, and not much afterwards. There were a couple of good announcements. I was very happy to hear No More Heroes got a release date. of August 27th. Mario Golf was announced. That's a lot of fun.
That looks really good. That looks really quick on Mario Golf for those who didn't see it. Obviously, it's a standard golf game. It also has a rush game in it where you basically are playing 4 players at once and you have to run to your ball, and it's a race.
Yeah.
And then there's also a story mode, which is very interesting. So I'm actually looking forward to getting that and playing that. I was really thinking about buying a golf game, and I'm holding off now for that.
Yeah, no, that's the way to go for sure. So they ended.
Whoa! Before they go to where they ended, Ray, today's date is February 21st, 2021.
Yes.
Do you know what today is?
Today, as we are recording, folks, Sunday the 21st is the 35th anniversary of the release of the original Legend of Zelda.
A very small game in gaming lore that got absolutely no attention, nor did it get any love throughout the years, nor do people still talk about it today as one of the greatest games that was ever made in the history of gaming.
Yeah, no, it is. It's one of the greatest, folks. It's one of the greatest series of all times. In fact, I'm constantly still arguing with people over the timelines and where it is, and we were expecting some big stuff from Nintendo for the 35th anniversary, similar to what they did with Mario.
Big stuff. And they gave us all the indications they were going to do something big because they did it with Mario. This is their second biggest property.
And look, it's smart, and I get it. They came out, first off, they said, first of all, they did little things, right? So we knew what was coming. Hyrule Warriors is getting an expansion pack. We knew that was coming. Okay, fine. Little news,
good stuff. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
They said Breath of the Wild 2 is probably not gonna be ready for this year. It's not ready to show more of it off. That's fine. Nintendo
forgivable, understandable, right?
Again, it's the Miyamoto creed. A bad game, a delayed game is temporary. A bad game is forever. Would rather them take their time with it. That's okay. But the sad thing is that the only thing they seem to be doing in honoring of the 35th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda as a whole is they are remaking for its 10th anniversary Skyward Sword. It's the only Zelda game it seems like that we're getting this year. And folks, I'm not going to lie, Skyward Sword is not even a top 5 Zelda game for me. It is one of the most disappointing titles. It was one of the most worst controlled Legend of Zeldas because they really focused on the Wii gimmick. At the time, it was towards the end of the Wii console cycle. Even though I still gave it like an 8 or an 8.5, and that was the game I got my first death threat for. When I gave it an 8.5.
It was me. No, it wasn't me.
It wasn't a look. Even the worst Zelda games are still pretty good. Again, an 8.5 is a good score. But it definitely was not it was not the high standard of Zelda that we're used to.
Those games usually get 10s.
Right.
10s. It's one of the few games that gets 10s a lot.
Yes, exactly. Link Between Worlds that came out later, the next game in the series.
Right. Ocarina of Time got a 10. I'm pretty sure Breath of the Wild got like a 9.9 or something crazy like that.
I would have given it a 9, but that's me personally.
Yeah, but it's a high rate. Look, it's very disappointing that we didn't get something to celebrate, at least the original Legend of Zelda. Now, Again, Ray and I did say they still may come out with something. They missed the date anniversary. It doesn't mean they're going to miss the whole year. I'll tell you something now, Ray, because now because I have so much power with Nintendo. Now my ransom has gone up. Now I don't just want Ocarina of Time. I want you to release the N64 online version for the Switch Online. That's what I want now. I got Nintendo and Super Nintendo. You can skip over Virtual Boy and you can skip over the Wii. Actually, no, just go right to N64. I want the N64 library online now. Nintendo. Lee Elias, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You know who I am. You know I'll come for you, and you know nothing will come from that.
Yes. But yeah, so it was disappointing. Also, there's going to be some Legend of Zelda Joy-Cons. I don't care.
Great.
There are going to be some collectors who are going to be like, oh my god. But for me, it's my Joy-Cons.
No, give me a damn game that I want.
Yes.
Why can't we have Ocarina of Time again? I don't understand.
Again, there is such a library for Legend of Zelda that you could have pulled from.
Link to the
and
past.
The only thing you're pulling from is the 10th anniversary of Skyward Sword. That's really? Weird.
That's on the 35th anniversary.
That's super. Like Lee said, give us the NES games. Give us a remake, or like you did with Link's Awakening.
Zelda 2 is on Nintendo Online. I know that, and I believe you can also play it on the Super Nintendo. Link to the Past, but I don't know, man. Or Link's Awakening, excuse me. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
I don't know why they're messing this up.
They did just remake Link's Awakening, to be fair.
Yeah.
But, like...
I just don't know what they're doing. I don't know why there's not, where's Zelda 3D All-Stars?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, a lot of folks were like, you couldn't have redone Ocarina. You couldn't have redone Wind Waker or Twilight Princess.
Majora's Mask. Like, you could any of them.
Yeah, it's a questionable decision. Hopefully they have more for us in the later second half of the year. But I don't think so. I think, honestly, second half of the year, they might drop something for Metroid on. Because it's also Metroid's 35th anniversary. And if they don't do anything at all for Metroid, that might be an even bigger crime than doing only this for Zelda's. Because Metroid was not mentioned at all. But you know what we did get at the end of the Direct? Splatoon 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't support Splatoon 2 half the time. And now you're giving us a sequel for... Look, and I get it. There's a lot of folks who love Splatoon out there. I get it. But that just seemed like a super weak ending to a very highly anticipated Direct because Nintendo has not given us that much in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, I don't get that. When you have the most bought system of last year... I will say, this is minor. This is more important for me. Plants vs. Zombies is coming to the Switch.
That is a big deal, yes.
Because my son loves that game. But yeah, no, it just didn't stick the landing. It reminds me a lot of Game of Thrones, where it's like this Titan has fallen, and it's just like, oh yeah, no, this is how it ends. So you're gonna watch our sequels, and we're like, I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, so
just not great. Nintendo, not great stuff for Nintendo. I do have hope that we're gonna be wowed by something later in the year, but not right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. So, yeah. So one last thing in the geek side of things. This is kind of just general science-y and space.
This is more nerdy than geek, though.
Yeah, this was
nerd.
This was big enough that I think we wanted to mention it.
I totally agree with you. Yes, 100%.
So
we celebrate science on this show.
Yes, for sure. Yes, we are pro-science here. Science and math are important. STEM. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics, if I remember something like that. Anyway, but yeah, it was a big deal. NASA, I think it's called the Perseverance, landed their new rover on Mars. It was a big deal. It's been something they've been working on, obviously, for years.
It's a massive human achievement that we should all feel great about, but we ignore for some reason.
Its specific purpose is looking for fossilized microbes and getting soil samples on the red planet. Of course, our nearest cousin in the solar system,
Milky Way galaxy.
Yes. Yeah, in the galaxy, it's a big deal. In terms of science, they also put a helicopter drone up there to see like how those kind of physics would work on the lesser gravity and the colder temperatures, and also to kind of get different shots of the horizon. And of course, again, it's just science. It's exploration. It's figuring out, and it's finding out more about our place in the universe. And I think it's a fantastic achievement. I know there was a bunch of people, a bunch of trolls online who were like, they were celebrating landing on Mars. What, did they think they were gonna miss the planet? It's like, no, you morons. It's like, do you know how hard it is, how much math goes into the fact about basically landing a car, like not even a car, like basically something like the size of a bicycle, literally millions of miles away and making sure it doesn't crash land on said planet?
I didn't hear that, but that's devastating. Look, here's the things you want to look at if you want to positive swing the kind of cheat sheet. That rover's taking full out HD color photos.
Yeah.
And video. So not only can you now see Mars better than ever, you can hear Mars, and it does sound weird when you listen to it because that's like it's uninhibited audio. People think, well, it must be something with the mic. No, that's what Mars sounds like. It sounds very, very weird. Yeah. You can look that up online. They're also digging holes. It's funny because under the red surface, the ground, I almost said the Earth, the ground is gray, clay-like looking. Ray, one thing I hope is that we are sending human beings back to the moon, I think, in a couple of years. And I'm really hoping that reinvigorates the both American but global interest in space travel and what it means to be in outer space. We completely take that for granted.
Yeah. Completely.
It's a massive human accomplishment. We landed something on another planet again. It's a big deal. I am always mesmerized by that stuff. And I know we have listeners that are too, but anybody who's hating on that is just obviously immature, stupid, and doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I got super mad when I saw that. yesterday.
Yeah.
Like I got super mad on the internet. I would have done what
send that person to the moon.
What John Glenn did when that one moon truther went up to him and just punched him in the face.
Socked him right in the face.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it's a huge deal. Moving on from geekdom and nerddom to other huge deals, we're moving into sports now. And, well, actually not a huge deal because I think the Eagles didn't get nearly enough back in return for it. But Carson Wentz was officially traded this week. He was traded to the Indianapolis Colts, which was a long-time rumor. They also released Deshaun Jackson. Obviously, he's been injury-plagued the last few years of his career. And a lot of these moves are to free up cap space, not for this year, because these will both be dead hits against the cap this year, but next year. And it's a big deal for Philly to get out of that huge Wentz contract. The sad thing is I think that if this was going to be the end result anyway, the fact that you fired Peterson, who, again, outside of last year, had been a winning coach for you guys, obviously Super Bowl winning coach. Again, we don't know exactly what happened there, but it does seem like that Peterson was a casualty of Wentz not wanting to be there anymore. And again, as outside observers, and Wentz ended up being traded anyway because he wanted out.
If you're gonna look at Peterson, I mean, and obviously this is all based on just assumption. Gotta kind of preface it with this.
Yes.
It sounds like he lost half the locker room or some of the locker room, and when you lose any of the locker room, you can't be coach of that team anymore. That's just the way it works in pro sports. He'll find another job. It is kind of hurtful, but look, I'm not basing his whole career on that one quarter.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are doing. I think that's ridiculous. So, he lost the locker room. However he lost it. Yeah. Comes to Wentz, the cap space is huge. That's a big deal for the Eagles. It allows us to rebuild the team in a way we need to rebuild them, which is amazing that we're just 2-3 years out of the Super Bowl.
Yes.
We're rebuilding already. But Jalen Hurts will be the future for the team moving forward.
Yep.
Carson Wentz, I got to say this. He has been a extreme gentleman about all this, not just the trade, but rumors of him being a good teammate, a bad teammate, that, he said this, they said that, he wants a trade. He has been nothing but gracious the entire time. And I think that, we want the controversy in sports. We want the drama. And this is a human being who just wasn't buying into that.
Yeah.
And he handled it very, very well, in my opinion. I just think he's been nothing but a great human being. And that's what I choose to focus on, is that he's a good person. I really believe that.
Oh, yeah.
So I think he'll do well in Indianapolis. I think he's going to work his tail off no matter where he goes. It just seems like the person that he is. And, look, there's potential that the Eagles get a first-round draft pick out of this too. But I also think that second- and third-round draft picks are often underrated as well.
No, for sure. I mean, and again, what they got in return, because they mentioned that the Eagles will get this year's Colts third-round pick and then a conditional second-round pick next year. If the Colts make the playoffs this year, that pick improves to and if Wentz plays a certain number of snaps, that pick will go up to a first-round pick. But basically, it's probably like a 20-pick swing or so, because what will happen is if the Colts don't make the playoffs this year and Wentz doesn't play a certain number of snaps, then you figure they're probably a bad team, and so it'll be a high second-round pick for the Eagles. If they do make the playoffs and Wentz plays a certain number of snaps, you figure it's going to be a later first-round pick. So So
look. Here's the deal: getting a first-round pick, if that ends up happening, would be huge. I mean, that is essentially a massive value for Carson Wentz. In fact, I'd say this: almost every player in the league, if you could trade them for a first-round pick, and it would be a win. There's very few players that I would say are the exception to that. Mm-hmm. All right. But Tom Brady would be one of them. Right. Tom Brady 15 years ago. Now I would take it too. But a first, again, picks are often underrated, especially first round picks. All right. So this is absolutely one of those time will tell things. I mean, people always want to analyze. I get it. They always want to analyze a trade in the moment that it happens, but the truth is, you don't know. You don't ever really know how these things are going to pay out.
I mean, it could be that this works out for both teams.
And that's what the teams want. They want everyone to win.
And Eagles long term. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Also, a fun fact, though, that came out about this, with also the Goff-Stafford trade that happened earlier in the offseason, there were 22 quarterbacks taken in the first round between 2009 and 2016. Not a single one of those quarterbacks now are with their original team, if they're still in the league even.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, so
When you really think about it.
That also goes to show that sometimes maybe it's not worth taking a first-round quarterback in the first round, and that maybe a lot of these scouts need to get their heads out of their butts because that's a lot of failure.
I'll say this, too, that Tom Brady is not with his original team anymore either.
Well, that's also true. But he's been playing a lot longer than 2009.
I know. Listen, he said 6 is enough Super Bowls for you. I'm going to go someplace else and win someplace else. That's what he said.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, so, and then he's throwing the Super Bowl trophies across boats. Drunk Tom Brady is our favorite Tom Brady.
That was our great segment. I wrote on our pages that inside every Tom Brady is a normal human being trying to break free.
That is true. That is true. Oh, goodness. Speaking of, well, I don't know how I'm going to transition this, but speaking of trying to break free, I don't know. You know what? I don't know. You know what? So yesterday, anyway, and actually as today, the second game is tonight now. So the NHL, because there's no Winter Classic because of the shortened season from COVID, they did do something that was interesting. Was go to Lake Tahoe in Nevada, and they're doing a pair of outdoor games there. And Lake Tahoe is, I mean, at least from the shots, looks absolutely gorgeous. It's a beautiful backdrop.
It totally is. It's totally a beautiful scenario.
But what happened, there was some problems with the games. And by the way, the Avalanche did beat the Golden Knights in the first of those outdoor games, 3-2. But the game started about noon local time, and
finished
finished at about 1 in the morning, almost. Yeah. No, not 1 in the morning. About 11 at night local time. It was about 11 hours between first puck drop.
Yeah, it's the longest game in NHL history.
Yes, I think it was like 10 hours, 52 minutes officially or whatever.
Elapsed. Because time did elapse.
Yeah, elapsed. Because what ended up happening was there's this thing called the sun, right? Going back to space, right? And the sun is really warm. And when it hits things like ice melts.
What?
And basically, by the end of the first period, the rink was deemed unplayable or not safe enough to play. Although
it was not to NHL standards.
Right, not to NHL standards. That's a good way of describing it. And so they basically had to wait for the sun to go down, repatch the ice, and then continue the game at 9 o'clock local time, midnight Eastern.
Which they did.
They
successfully.
Finished the game. It was the game did not look good before or after the break. Honestly, it looked like. But again, I don't know, Lee. Why play hockey when the sun is up?
You know, it's funny, Ray. I got to be honest with you. Let me unwrap this gently, right? So yeah, it was a debacle yesterday. So the forecast, just to give everybody kind of the background on this, the forecast was supposed to be overcast, right? And what ended up happening is the sun was so powerful yesterday, it kept burning the cloud cover off. And there's actually a video showing the clouds in the sky. As they approach the sun, they just dissipate. Yeah. And then the temperature was also a little higher, over freezing than normal. Okay. So that's what happened with the ice. And they deemed that, look, at night, the temperature will be dropping. The ice will be better. The ice was fine at night. Now, here's the deal. It's embarrassing for the NHL, although I will say that they absolutely did the correct thing in postponing the game and playing it later at night. I have no problem with that. They have played over 30 outdoor games since the original Classic in 2009, I believe. Okay? I think that's a pretty good record, 30-1. Yeah. In terms of major mistakes, they've played in the snow, they've played in the rain. So it is what it is. Like I'm not in a position to get like, oh, you idiots, you're so stupid for playing outdoors. Like they've done it successfully 30 plus times. Now, with that said, like people say, why are they playing it outdoors in the afternoon? It's like Tahoe. They want the camera shots. They want the angles, which they did get. Yeah. All right, but now they know they have to play at night. They cannot control the temperature. They cannot control the weather. That has always been the risk you take when doing an outdoor games. And like I said, I'm not being biased here. Like they're trying stuff. Like they tried something and they failed at it. They owned up to it right away. They said we're going to play at night. The commissioner went on national television to explain what happened, which is also a big deal.
As somebody who lives in the desert, let me just explain something. It gets really warm when the sun is up and get really cold when the sun isn't up.
Right.
I don't care what the forecast was, and I get that it's Tahoe and all that other stuff, and it's slightly different. This was stupid. to think that the sun was not going to melt this ice, even if it was 25 degrees. Because again, and they even said it, the darker parts of the ice, where all the ink was, that's what melted the worst. Because again, this is science. Dark colors absorb the heat. So, Mr. Beckman, you goddamn moron! I don't care about your visuals. In fact, and at least tonight, they also delayed the game for the Flyers and Bruins at night. Because, everything's going to be cold. Everything gets super cold in the desert. And again, I don't care. Well, the forecast said it was going to be 30 degrees. I can promise you that forecast was wrong. I've been living in the desert for 10 years. I can promise you, every day that the sun is up and it's shining that bright, it's going to hit 50. Every day. And then when it drops down, it's going to hit, that's when it's going to get cold. And the fact that nobody told you this?
Come on, man. Like I said, it was a risk they took. It didn't pay off. I don't think it's worth
Play the games at night. And honestly, I'll say this.
They're doing that.
They didn't they want their stupid visuals against the lake and all that. I think the ice looked better at night, lit up by the lights, under the lights, personally.
Well, listen.
I don't care about a bunch of freaking trees. I'm here to watch hockey.
Again, man, I'm going to applaud the NHL for trying something during the pandemic. They never would have played there under normal circumstances. And I'm sure that their weather people and their ice people have probably got their tails between their legs a little bit. But the key for me, and something that baseball doesn't do, something the NBA doesn't often do, is they admitted their failure. They said, we're going to change it, and we're going to make it so it's playable. And although embarrassing, they did the right thing. And that's why I'm not losing my mind over this one, right? No, the MLB rarely does the right thing. The NFL rarely does the right thing.
Look, I'm joking. Honestly, it is a minor thing in the grand scheme of things, folks. But it just... God, sometimes people are dumb. Speaking of dumb people...
Yeah, no, this is worse. We're about to
let's
talk
move
about,
into the NBA opinion. Now. So, this was... So the NFL... was like, listen, we're going to name people Pro Bowlers, but we're not going to play the Pro Bowl. So you'll still be technically a Pro Bowler. You just don't have to go to...
Which is totally understandable, by the way. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, it makes a lot of sense because nobody watches the Pro Bowl anyway.
Right, exactly. In fact, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they started doing that more often. Right.
That's what they used to do, by the way, in the old days. You'd have an all-star team. You didn't always have an all-star game or every college and high school and youth sports organization ever created.
Yeah.
You don't always play the all-star game anyway.
Yeah. But the NBA is like, no, we are adamantly going to play our all-star game in Atlanta on March the 7th. We're going to do the whole shebang in front of nobody. First off, again, like Lee said, it's really wholly unnecessary because it's not like...
Nobody asked for this.
Yes.
Nobody.
Give the guys the break if you really want to, or even not, because again, you're playing
a break.
Yeah.
Why would you let them go out and get... why would you let them go out? Period.
But that's what I'm saying. Don't even give them the break. Just keep playing your games and keep your schedule on track. Here's the thing. You instead of cutting your season by 10 regular season games, you could have played more regular season games that matter. Holy cow.
No, the fact that they're playing the NBA All-Star Game. Now, here's the thing. I understand the aura around the NBA All-Star Game and the slam dunk competition. People really do love that. That is actually an All-Star Game.
I think the skills competition, the dunk contest, and the three-point shooting contest is better than the actual game at this point.
Right. Well, my point was that's probably the most watched All-Star Game, maybe outside baseball when it mattered, quote unquote. All right, but here's the deal. I mean, several players, including LeBron James, have said, what are we doing this for? Yeah. Why are we doing this? And you're legit potentially creating a super spreader event.
You're going to have players from a dozen, if not more, different teams in one place. And if one person gets it and spreads it to everybody, then all these folks go back to New York and Atlanta and Miami and L.A.
I'm sure they're going to justify, well, we're going to test everybody. You're going to get tested nonstop. And, there's just no way someone's going to get on that court with coronavirus. I'm like,
the next game got canceled yesterday because of Corona.
I don't think.
Actually, that's not true. Got canceled yesterday because Texas is absolutely in terrible straits.
That they are. We should talk about that. But look, coronavirus doesn't care that it's an all-star game. And again, I'm applauding all professional sports for trying to have professional sports during the pandemic. I think it's a real service to the communities, and that I really do. But what are you doing, NBA? What are you doing? The other thing, too, is speaking of what Ray said, just a quick transition here. We do want to give a shout out to anyone in the greater Texas region or that part of the world that is under siege by snow right now. A lot of people have taken more of a sarcastic, screw you approach to this story. And I'll tell you what, I've lived in multiple places in this country. Mm-hmm. When unexpected weather hits that you're not used to, it's devastating all around. We've seen this with massive heat before in Canada. Where they don't have air conditioning in their homes, and people, how do you not have an air conditioner? It's Canada.
Yeah.
All right. It's the exact opposite here. They are not prepared for ice and snow and storms.
Right.
And they're in hell right now. So instead of making fun of them, let's help them. I have to say, I've seen way too. And again, look, don't get me. I get the little jabs and the sarcastic.
Oh, for sure. I think you gotta look for considering how many folks in Texas took jabs at California or New York during hurricanes. Then I completely agree with you. They need to be helped. And I've even said this myself publicly. It's like we need to stop this being red versus blue. We're all Americans.
Stupid.
We need
these are
need
people.
to all band together. But at the same time, we also need to remind you that karma sucks, and that next time New York asks for money and help when something like Hurricane Sandy happens, or California asks for help when there's a fire tornado, or anything like Lee said, like that. Anytime something like this happens, we need to stop making fun of each other, and we need to band together. So I hope that this opens up a lot of folks' eyes all across the country that we need to stop letting politics and tribalism and bullshit.
Yeah, we're people, man. We're people. And by the way, just to make this even bigger than that, like I've lived in other parts of the world, and it's the same thing, man. I remember on the southern shores of England, like it got really cold once, like too cold, and it wasn't expected, and it messed everything up. Like unexpected weather, you can't prepare for it. There's no way.
Yes.
So again, look. I'm not trying to be the no fun police here. Okay, it's always fun to have a little bit of humor at other people's expense.
Yes.
Trust me, Ray and Travis and all my friends trying to do it to me daily, but I'm untouchable with that until they get to me, which makes me not untouchable. Anyway. It does happen. It does happen once in a while. But no. Look, Texas, man. I'll stand with you. I lived in the South for several years. I stand with you. I hope everyone is well down there. I want to give a shout out to the Dallas Stars, who have really been gracious during this time period. Jamie Benn, the captain of the Stars, has invited his teammates into his home. Mm-hmm. A lot of them don't have power. Apparently, he does. They tried to help out their local community. This is where sports really is at its best, when it tries to help out their local community.
Yes.
So
and
I think
that's why, by the way, I realized as soon as I said it, that's why the Spurs versus Knicks game was canceled yesterday.
Right. So joking aside, just again, wishing everybody in Texas, in that region of the United States, the best. All right, just
for sure.
We'll get through this, and it will be 110 there before you know it.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, as sad as it is, and look, it's been a lot of tragedy. A lot of folks have unfortunately passed away in this because
and animals too.
And animals.
I saw a woman on there whose fish tank was legit frozen solid with the fish
I've seen
inside.
Toilet bowls, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, it's learn from this. Learn from this. Better protect your I'm not pointing fingers, but again, better protect your power grid. Better protect everything. Again, we need to learn from this. The same thing out here in California with the wildfires. We need to learn, and we need to fix our infrastructures.
Are you saying that local and national governments should make changes when things go bad?
Yes.
You're an idiot, Ray. That never happened.
And I'm not not to point fingers. California, hey Newsom, get off your frickin' butt and fix the electrical infrastructure. I'm gonna tell you right now. Come July, there's gonna be a lot of wildfires. Fix the electrical grid now, you dumb.
Alrighty then. Well, that's not gonna happen.
But again, so it happens. It happens all over. See, Texas, California, we're all the same. We all got a bunch of morons in charge who don't want to fix our infrastructure.
I was really waiting for you to say, "I'm going to play this frickin' city like a harp from hell." That's the voice you were just doing.
I'm going to play this frickin' city like a harp from hell. Ooh, excuse me.
Oh man. Well, that brings us to the mashup.
Mashup.
Mashup. Your mic, your condenser's turning on. You're yelling so loud. The Mashup, which is time for the Mashup. I don't have a catchy song. Today's Mashup, real simple. Which athlete would be best suited for Mortal Kombat? Now, there's a few ways you can go with this, Ray. I'm going to throw it to you first. It's another great mashup thought of by me.
Yes.
So it's thought of by me. But the thing I want to say is this. Now, there's two ways you can go with this. It's who would you like to be seen killed in a fatality in Mortal Kombat, and who do you think just generally would work well as a character in Mortal Kombat? Ray, I'm going to toss the blood ball to you.
There's a few that come to mind. The first,
right away.
The first one immediately, though, is actually Shaq. I think Shaq.
Well, he does have the power to throw basketballs on fire.
I was going to say he's got Shaq Fu. He's actually going to be wrestling in an AEW ring in a couple of weeks in a tag team match. I think Shaq, especially if it's in his prime, Shaq would be an absolute beast, and I could just easily see him ripping guys' heads off in Mortal Kombat and holding them up by the spinal cord. I think no doubt. I think Shaq would be a tremendous.
Goro would be fun.
Tremendous addition to the Mortal Kombat roster. There are others that come to mind for sure. Lawrence Taylor in his prime.
No, you're wrong.
What?
I'm going to tell you right now. Yes, it's not Lawrence Taylor. It is cocained Lawrence Taylor.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's him powered
He must be on cocaine to be getting near the tournament.
Yeah.
All right, that's how you get your arms ripped off and keep going.
That's right.
Okay? I take your bullets, man. No, that's, yes, I'm sorry, I just had to correct you there. It is cocained up Lawrence Taylor. By the way, children, don't do crack.
Don't do... Yes, that is good. Yeah, that's a very good PSA here from us here at Geeks Who Like Sports.
Yes. My next point, children.
But yeah, I mean, if I want to get dark, O.J. Simpson.
Oh, God, but he already won the tournament. Oh, God, if the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I mean, look, if you're just talking about, I think these...
dark. Like, you put Ben Roethlisberger on that, too, if you want to. Ray Lewis could be that, too.
Yeah,
horrible.
So, yeah. Horrible suggestion. But, yeah,
2020, we can't say things like that. We kicked off the air.
Oh, thank God it's 2021 then.
Is it?
I think
Is
so.
it?
Yeah. So, but yeah, look, if you're talking Mortal Kombat tournament, fun picks, Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
I mean, when I think, obviously, my brain turns to hockey because we've had some Warriors, Dave, Tiger Williams. Can you imagine that Tiger Williams wins? Yeah. Hockey stickality. All right, there's a lot of them like that. Gordie Howe might actually do it. I was too nice, though. He'd kill someone and apologize. Bob Probert. I mean, we're talking about the great fighters in history. There's so many. Any major goon from hockey would fight. They'd probably lose.
Yeah.
But they'd be good in the tournament.
What about the brothers from Slapshot? The Hanson brothers.
The Hanson brothers? Are they together when they're fighting? Is it like a 1, 2, 3?
Oh, maybe.
It'd have to be. They can't do it by themselves.
Yeah, it'd have to be. Yeah, they'd have to be 3-on-1.
I'd like to see Ty Cobb with a bat.
Yeah, and his sharpened cleats. Yeah.
Yeah. I would have fun playing with it. I got to read more about Ty Cobb. There's a lot of reports now that he was actually not the monster that people.
Yeah, it's just the media wanted to portray him as that because he didn't get along.
That he was actually a really good guy.
Yeah,
which is amazing if history is able to turn it like that.
Yeah,
it's also amazing that didn't come out for 100 years. But
yeah, but I can imagine. Yeah, Ty Cobb doing like the Sub-Zero ninja slide with his like spikes up though.
Slide over here.
Instead of ice on the ground, though, behind him, it'd be dirt from the baseball diamond. So
right, I'm disqualifying Tom Brady from this one, just because he would prepare too well and find a way to win.
His projectile, he just throws Super Bowl trophies at you.
Yeah, he underhand tosses them.
Oh, like Johnny Cage, he is the Johnny Cage.
Yeah, right. It's just at the end after the NetherRealm was destroyed by Tom Brady. He won his 10th Super Bowl. What do they have to do with each other? That's when the underworld came up. Shao Kahn. That's how those things end.
He's sitting on a throne of Super Bowl trophies. That's
right. Yeah. Let's begin. Finish him. Tom Brady overseeing a sports Mortal Kombat. That would be kind of good.
As like the Shao Kahn.
Your soul is mine. Yeah.
Serena Williams would be good.
She would be great.
Yep.
She could kill some people.
Yelling as she throws tennis balls. Yeah! So
yeah, there's a lot of good picks. There's a lot of good picks, men and women in sport. But we want to know what you think. Comment below and let us know which sports personality, person, or player would work great in Mortal Kombat.
I'd have Babe Ruth as like a Bo Rai Cho character. For those of you who don't know, he's Bo Rai Cho is the drunken fist master who like typically farts and belches and throws up at people, and that's his main ability.
Who was the I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Who was the dude on the Iron Curtain in Pittsburgh? Not the Iron Curtain, the Steel Curtain. The Steel Curtain.
Mean Joe Green?
Yes, that would be a great pick there. I think Urlacher might actually work in this.
Yep.
I don't think these guys would win.
Right.
Actually, I'm undisqualifying Tom Brady. He's the only one who could win. Some supernatural ability to not age.
Yeah, so.
Man, he is Shang Tsung.
Yeah, he would be Shang Tsung. Your soul is mine.
Yeah.
Your Super Bowls are mine.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
Well, that's our picks. Yeah.
Yes.
We want to know what you think. Comment below. Let us know which sports personality or player works for you in Mortal Kombat, and not the live action movie, the game.
Yes, the game. Yeah, definitely the game, because that actually works. I don't think the movie's gonna work. But yeah, so wow, we got ourselves a crisp, clean, tight episode this week. We've stuck the landing, folks. Look,
WandaVision, find out.
Yeah, we did not do nearly as deep a dive as we did this week, because again, we want you guys to join us for StreamLounge.io every Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Do you know why we didn't dive into WandaVision? Do you know whose fault that is? It was Agatha all along.
Yeah, there we go. I was gonna be like, I don't want to blame any of us. So, but yeah, so. Thank you all for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Geeks Who Like Sports. We'll be back next week, of course, with much more geekdom, sportsdom, all that stuff. If you haven't already, share this show with your friend. Be sure to also go join us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff. We appreciate it every week. And like Lee said, feel free to comment below on all our side quests and the episode itself. We love hearing from you guys. But until next week, for Lee Elias, I am Ray Carcillo. We will see you next week here with more Geeks Who Like Sports as we wrap up here, episode 97. Good night, everybody.